Our next guest is a best-selling author and the anchor of Katy Tur Reports, which airs weekdays at 3 p.m. on MSNBC. Please welcome back to the show, Katy Tur, everybody. Thank you for being here.
It's nice to be back.
You just walked off set moments ago. Your show tapes at 3, so we really appreciate you making the trip upstairs.
I did, and I'm so thrilled. I'm following Larry David. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
I apologize. Somebody has to do it. So I have a question because you have to keep your phone with you during the taping of your show because you have sources that might text you information in real time. That's very important for a news show. I wouldn't be able to have my phone, one, because nobody ever texts me anything important. But I would imagine the people in your life who text you the way they text me sometimes forget you're doing your show.
I have people text me at 2:59:40. Say, can I come say hi? Like my agent, he was here yesterday, and he said, can I come say hi? You of all people should know that I'm on TV in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
That happens. I'll be in the middle of major breaking news. I mean, I was in the middle of covering the insurrection a couple years ago, literally watching the Capitol maybe fall.
And that is right.
To a bunch of rioters.
That part of the day, that is really, nobody knows how it's going to break.
No, and nobody knew. I mean, it was the beginning of it. It was all falling apart. And I looked down at my phone to see if I was getting texts from producers or sources. And it was my best friend, who's an interior designer. What do you think of these throw pillows?
Yeah. Bad timing.
And I said, Jessica, turn your television on.
You have talked a lot about how Trump, 2016 Trump you covered, now we've got 2024 Trump. Do you see any differences, or are you more taken aback by how similar it all is?
It's funny, I was actually thinking about this the other day because I was watching him speak, and everything he's saying now is the same thing he said in 2016, the same sort of targeting, the same language, the same campaign promises. Everything is a mess in the same way it was in 2016, as if he wasn't president for 4 years. But he doesn't have as much energy as he did. I'm sure you've noticed this as well. It's like an echo of Donald Trump that we're watching right now.
Yes, well, it's almost like when you watch a musician play a new album and then it's a few years later and they're like at a state fair.
Yeah.
And they're like, they don't like these songs anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think he thinks they do like the songs.
Yes.
I think he's happy to deliver them, but he's not delivering them with the same oomph. It's like his heart's not quite in it.
Yeah, so sad for him. One thing we've seen, another difference between 2016 and 2024. Obviously, there were certain things like Trump University was happening in 2016, but there's a lot more courtrooms for Donald Trump right now, and he's spending a lot of his time on the courthouse steps, almost campaigning there and using what he would call the politicization of the Justice Department. Do you feel like this is a message that's getting through?
I don't think it's almost campaigning. I think he is campaigning.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a choice to be in these courtrooms. He's not required to be there. He wasn't required to be there for the second E. Jean Carroll defamation suit. He's not required to be there for the civil fraud case. He's choosing to go to these places instead, these courtrooms, instead of going on the campaign trail. And it's part of this idea that I am being persecuted, which he ran so successfully on in 2016. I'm being persecuted in your stead. If I wasn't here taking these slings and arrows, they'd be throwing them at you. And it's the same idea that was so successful in 2016 that I think he's trying to do again.
Do you feel like there's enough focus on, obviously, runaway nominee for the party, right? That's happening right now. And yet at the same time, he hasn't really had success against Democrats starting in 2018, 2020, 2022. A lot of special elections haven't gone badly. Do you feel like that is something that's sinking in with the voting public, or do you think that because he only talks about how he's a winner, people think, well, he's a winner?
Listen, we're covering the primary right now, and he's by far the most popular candidate in the Republican Party. Nikki Haley is trying to unseat him. She hasn't yet been successful in winning a state. We'll see what happens in South Carolina. The polls don't look great. But he has that rock-solid base of support, that knot of support that he's had continuously since 2016. And I think it's easy to look at that and say, oh, this guy is unstoppable. But if you look at the track record of Donald Trump in just the past few years, as you just did, in 2020, he lost the election to Donald Trump. In 2018, they lost the midterms. In 2022, the Republicans didn't do as well as they were supposed to. In 23, same. The special elections on the issue of abortion, Democrats keep winning. And when you talk to Democratic pollsters, Democratic strategists, they will point to this and say the House is not actually on fire. I know it might seem that way, but everything is going to be okay. I don't know if Donald Trump is going to win. I mean, he certainly looks like he still has a lot of support out there. But I think the question you need to ask yourself, the question I ask myself is, who is the voter that did not vote for him in 2020 that's going to vote for him again in 2024?
Yeah.
And what are they voting on? What's their issue? There's probably a few of them out there. Are there thousands in key places that will get Donald Trump the White House again?
It's a very haunting question. I obviously, like a lot of us who have jobs like these, during the pandemic, I had to figure out how to do my show from home, and it was very hard, and I'm very proud of myself for pulling it off. You and your husband, Tony, you are in different shows on different networks, and I'm so impressed. Here you are, because you were basically just in other sides of the room? Is that officially?
This is a tiny New York City basement.
Yeah. Yeah, you were in a New York City. I mean, look, this is not what people think showbiz is like.
You couldn't put a pool table in there and adequately use the sticks.
Were you in the end, do you feel like you were closer when it was over, or were you like, thank God this is over and we get to go back to our studio?
Thank God this is over, we get to go back to our studio. My house was insane in that moment. I mean, Teddy, who you saw there, was, I think, he turned 1 during the pandemic.
There you go.
So we were dealing with potty training him.
Yeah.
I had to remind my husband that I was on TV. He would come down to the basement for some reason to get away from everybody else in the house, but not get away from me. And he would do work, but then like in the middle of my show, he would just fart.
Yeah.
Seriously.
That was one of the symptoms. That was one of the early symptoms.
He is a broadcaster. He's a network news broadcaster. He's an anchor. And he would sit in this plastic chair and he'd fart, and I'd be in the middle of a segment, and it's the pandemic, it's serious. And I was like, what are you doing? It smelled bad.
Yeah.
I had to stop myself from laughing. At one point, he crossed in front of my camera during a commercial break and flushed the toilet as I was coming back on air. It was awful.
It's like you had a frat brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you guys made it out alive, and it is so lovely to have you back on the show. Thanks so much. That's Katy Tur, everybody. Katy Tur reports here. It's weekdays at 3 p.m. on MSNBC. We'll be right back with more Late Night.